Hey everybody, welcome back to Variant Intel. Today we have episode 22, and our special guest today is Praise Jinx. He is a content creator in the space, but he goes a little bit further than that with some of the cool game development type stuff. We're going to get into that in a moment, but Jinx, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, I can't complain. It's one of those things where Deadrop is, we're in between snapshots. It's a little bit of a lull, but we're definitely going to get into some of that because there is some cool events coming up and some cool things. So we definitely still got plenty of content to talk about. But before we get to those things, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
For me, all right. So I've been on the road to become a content creator like anybody else. I started, years and years ago when I was younger. It kind of never took off. I never really forced myself to continue. And eventually I just started one day and I am here now and I'm doing good. So I do YouTube and now I also branched out and I started doing work on emulation. I started doing mods. I worked on Blender. I started getting into technology big time. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
No, that's so awesome to hear, man. So I know through our conversations offline, you've been working on this project. It's actually for a remastered version of an old Mortal Kombat game called Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Just I know it's not Dead Drop related, but in the terms of like game creation or working in Blender or like you said, emulation and different things, we're definitely gonna piggyback on that and talk about Dead Drop because UGC's coming up. So, but real quick, so you said you're a YouTube content creator, and if I'm not mistaken, you recently hit YouTube partner, or did that happen within the last year?
No, that just happened recently.
That just happened recently. Yeah, congrats on that, man. I think I saw it when it popped up. So, um, what
Thank you.
is something like? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have something?
No, no, thank you. I
Oh yeah,
appreciate
yeah. No worries. So you mentioned you've pretty much kind of launched a working version of this Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks remaster, emulation project, but like so with the experience you have just doing mods and things like that. How is that? What is that process like, and how do you think you could apply certain things like that where it pertains to something like UGC for Dead Drop?
So emulation is it's completely different. It's completely
Mhm.
different. And so understanding the UGC for dead drop, it would be completely different in all
Mhm.
areas. So for me to use what I do know, I could use what I know from Blender. I've used Blender before. I could use whatever the engine is that they use, which is Unreal Engine 5. If they give
Mhm.
us more development kits with that, I could use that to create, models within the game, new textures for the weapons, maps, textures, the list goes on, characters, you name it. Visors if they offer that, but it really, it's really all up to them on how much they give us with creation.
Yeah. So for the users listening, so we're saying this term UGC. You may have heard it here and there, and probably was wondering what it is. UGC stands for user generated content. Now, if you've been living under a rock, Midnight Society, they've more or less been really letting us know from a very early point that it is their intent to release this UGC mode or these development tools, the same ones that they use to develop Dead Drop, but to give it public access. That way, folks like you and me can go in and, like Jinx was saying, create weapon skins, full blown maps, game modes, whatever we want to do. So this is going to be something that now there's no official release date for UGC yet, but they announced it officially at Snapshot 5 back in March, and they were even talking about it a little bit before that. But now, recently, with the launch of Snapshot 6, they've really showed a trailer and talked about it even more, and showed some demo clips. And so this is a feature that will be coming. Um, I think before the end of the year. We still don't know exactly what the release date for it is, but given how much marketing they're putting behind it and the upcoming release of Snapshot 7, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in the near future. So I guess that leads me right into the next thing, Jinx, is what is something about UGC that you're the most excited about or the most looking forward to?
All right. So with UGC, I I think it's great. We've never seen any company do this before. They're gonna give us the tools to. I mean, Fortnite has done it to an extent, but we're gonna see something more than that. Creating maps, textures, weapons, and so what I really want to do is I want to create a game mode, and then within that game mode, which I'm kind of going for like a battle royal like style. So I
Mhm.
want to see something like that, but spread it with the sectors that we have. So we're seeing different things happen from different directions from those sectors pulling in. And so I really want to make a game mode. And then for models wise, if they let us import, creations of our own, I'd really like to go all out with, visual effects and, special effects. They really offer that. So,
All right, so really, you're kind of like just want to jump into all of it, like
yes.
maps, skins, like game modes, like, and I don't blame you. There's a lot of folks in the community who are already experimenting, utilizing Fortnite's. I don't remember what the mode is called, but they have a mode like that, like a Forge mode, if you will. There's
Yeah, I
people
think
there's people
it's,
messing around in Halo Forge. There's people messing around in geez, what's I forget. There's a few games that let you get you know creative in modes like these, but I think Kubi, one of our community members, has also been messing with stuff in Blender, trying to pre-block out maps already, just kind of in preparation. I think Mayor Reynolds was doing a Fortnite stream with William Morris. These are two prominent community members that are they were trying to rebuild Sector 3 in Fortnite, just kind of getting that practice, because once UGC does come out, folks like yourself and many others in the community are we're just waiting, because it's really cool. Halo Halo Forge is something that, in my personal opinion, kept Halo alive for so many years. I mean, there's so many, all the customs lobbies, you know. I mean, most of that stuff is all thanks to Forge, and so to think about Deadrop, which is already a new game, right? Like this is already a new like genre vertical extraction shooter game. So the base game in and of itself is going to be fantastic, but just adding that layer, right out the gate to give to the community is going to be really something, man. So I'm going to be signing up to follow all of you creators that are going to be doing stuff. You Jinx, OMA, Mayor, all these guys, Kubi, and so many more, so much more. I think shout out to William Morris for sound. He does a lot of sound composition, and we don't know yet,
music
but
is great.
what's that?
Yeah, the music was perfect that he's made so far.
Oh
I
man,
enjoy
it's
it.
it's so good. It's so good. I don't know yet if there's going to be any audio design tools, but I know folks like William are like really interested. Like what if we could import our own weapon sounds or collision sounds or things like this, like because sound also helps bring a lot of that together. Like say you're creating some map and you want like a what do they call that, dynamic level event to happen or something, and you want a wall to come crashing down. Well, you need some sound design for that too. So um,
Right.
so all right, so let's break this down a little bit more. So out of like since you're in this realm of like, modding and creation, like out of the disciplines of like level design, art design, things like that, let's narrow down like if what where would you start, and then break down for me like some ideas you have, if you don't mind. I don't want to, if there's secrets, don't spoil any secrets you're trying to build, but
Nah, all good, all good. So, are you asking where would I start with dead drops?
Yeah. So like what's the
Okay.
first thing with UGC that you really are like, probably it's like priority number one for you, and then what are some ideas with that you would like to do?
So, priority number one, I feel like something that I can do to help the developers kind of push a little bit more is if we could possibly even do work for them. So like say a new sector comes out, right? We always get the unfinished textures. What if we could go in and start putting those textures in for the community so they can enjoy, the textures and all that with the map kind of, obviously it's not going to be the same look as what the developers throw onto it, but we can get a feel for it so it's not just, a blank stage. So I'd probably start with the textures on the maps. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is interesting because I guess tell me what you think about this. So for me, this is obviously every we talk about this all the time, and it's we like to let the community know and the listeners know. Dead drop is still very early. People probably get sick of hearing that, but it's true, and it needs to be taken into account. So you mentioned like unfinished textures and stuff. My personal assumption is that obviously when they get ready to launch 1.0 version of Dead Drop, that a lot of these textures, these will be a finished product, right? I think to your point though, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if and this is just speculation. What I'm about to say, this is just speculation on my part. I'm not privy to anything, and I don't know what Midnight Society's plans are, but it wouldn't surprise me if like through this launch of UGC, folks like yourself who are working really hard to add this and that to the game, I'm assuming there'll be some kind of publishing process for the mods and tools that are created that Midnight Society, I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking to see who's excelling in those areas, and maybe there's some job opportunities there on an official scale. Or this is where, like, that's one idea, but if I had to put my money on something, I would say it's probably more likely that they will find a way to monetize. Like, you look at what Starfield's about to do with Creation Engine 2 and what, modders in those communities have done for years, and even now what they're doing in Fortnite, like people who are making mods can have their work monetized. And there's people making a full-blown living, very comfortable living, just doing mods for a game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Midnight Society finds a creative way to make sure that those who are publishing mods have some window to incentivization. You know what I mean? So, even that is pretty intriguing for someone like me who has no experience whatsoever with Blender or anything like that. But yeah. So one of your big goals is just to see like, hey, I want to make these creative things, and so you would like to just help out the development team, or maybe even be a part of it. Is that pretty accurate?
Okay,
I
so
mean,
I wouldn't.
or get the
I mean,
practice in at a minimum.
I would. So the initial idea for that is really just getting the experience for what they're offering. Because I've used Unreal Engine 5 to like an extent. I worked with Unreal Engine 4 back at high school. Actually, they actually offered us a preview of it,
Oh
and
wow.
we were able to mess with that. So, um, yeah, it was something very, very cool, very different for me. And so when UGC comes out, if they have the tools, I'd like to mess with it because it'll help me understand the game and how it works, how the textures work. Because, you can't just simply insert something and expect it to work. So,
Right.
yeah, but I do know for the whole like putting something into the game and then having it approved. Robert did say that it can't just be anything, and you will have
Right.
to go through a process. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's good. I'm glad that they're getting ahead of that because obviously, people get a little radical with some of the things that they want to make, and
yeah,
and I like that there will be an approval process. I hope they're ready though. I hope Midnight Society is ready for the onslaught of submissions because make no mistake about it, folks. Like everybody's trying to have that, hey, I made this thing and it's officially in Dead Drop, right?
right.
It's a very enticing idea, and it is cool. But yeah, I like the idea too because like there are going to be some very talented people that are say like making character skins or like you said maybe like custom visor cortexes or something, and for the founders, ours are unique, so no one's going to really be able to make copycats of those and get them approved, of course.
Right.
They want to maintain that uniqueness. However, but I think OMA and I talked about this. Like if we had an OMA visor or a HELMETFIRE visor, what's the process of like working with people that are more talented than myself to create said assets, but also like, hey, could this get approved? And or maybe like if I want my actual variant like his actual clothes that are in the NFT, and the look and everything, and the sneakers or whatever, like get that as a character skin. Like how cool would that be, right? I think a lot of founders would probably be into that.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think that would be super cool to get from visor down to the entire outfit as something we can just equip and then like run into the game with it, because you don't want people to also create something that looks identical to that and then it gets approved, and like, I'm sure they have, stuff, security, in line for things
Sure,
like
sure.
that they'll have, people check in all the time. But I think with creating the clothing material and stuff like that for your characters, man, I can't wait for that. I really can't wait, because the detail, within Unreal Engine 5, because it's such a new engine, I can only tell you that from down to the visor cortex, down to the shoelaces, we're gonna see the best graphics we've ever seen before.
Yeah. That's something about this game being built in Unreal that I'm really excited about is right now, again, it's super early. I mean, the game is already looking really good, but it's pretty clear to anyone that understands Unreal, and some of the projects that have come out on it in recent last couple of years, like the potential of Unreal 5 visually is, we're not even scratching the surface, man. It's and then you think about like what's the maximum potential visually for a game like Deadrop, and what's that going to look like once we get to that point. It's like, oh my goodness, dude, like because it's a very 80s sci-fi property, and even some of the stuff we have now just looks super cool. But like, yeah, imagining some of these things really high definition and all this stuff, my I might need to upgrade my computer once we get there, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I have no idea how it's gonna work with, I know Unreal Engine 5 is supposed to be, better performance on in certain areas, but I'm sure it's gonna take its toll on the GPU and
Yeah.
CPU and other areas.
Optimization is really important to note in this conversation too, because right now with the build that we have, I mean, it works. It is kind of a performance hog, but I mean, it's still so early. I mean, as the game gets further along and they get those refinements and those optimizations in, it'll be a lot less of a resource hog. So that's just true for any game, no matter what system it's on, whether it's PC or console. Um, so closer to 1.0 launch, we'll definitely see a lot of optimization in the game. So one thing I do want to kind of bring up now that I'm thinking about it with UGC is, one thing that I'm interested to see what people experiment with is weapons, like weapons attachments. Like, this is where I talk about loot. I've talked about this before in different conversations in the community. I've proposed the question of, what is the extraction piece of the game without loot? Like, like if not for the loot, what's the point of extracting? You know what I'm saying? Because you have the battle royale element to it, but then on the extraction element, like if you look at Tarkov is like what I call a backpack simulator. They have like it's super deep dive, way more than I'd probably want for Deadrop, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but Tarkov has tons of different loot that you can make it out with. They have the questing system. There's a lot of reasons to extract, right? I want something similar for Deadrop without the UI being so deep, right? Like, I
Right,
want a more
yeah.
simplified version of a UI than Tarkov, but I like the idea of all the loot, but I also like the idea of rarities. So now I don't know if using UGC, that rarities for items can be programmed in. That's probably a different. I don't know. It remains to be seen, like what tools they'll give us. But I am curious to see like what people experiment with. Like, hey, maybe we want to create our own melee weapons, or maybe we want to put a rocket launcher in the game, or grenade launchers, or some tactical equipment that we didn't have before. And how does that work? I mean, you think about something like weapons and or if it's gadgets, like say a wingsuit, right? That's kind of a big project, because you're not just talking about like, oh, a gun with some animations on it on the skin. Like, no, this is like a full character rig, animation, the whole. I mean, it's so. I'm curious if I know there's going to be individual creators, but I wonder if like teams of creators will form, when this comes out. Like, would you, so would like thinking about that idea, did you think you would just want to create on your own, or would you try to like, let's create a team so we can get a lot of stuff done a lot faster, right? Like, what's your idea on that? Are you more of a solo guy?
No, I'm not a solo guy at all. I would love a team. Having a team is amazing. The cooperation that you have between the individuals on a team is so important that you just can't imagine of how successful the entire project comes together when you have multiple people working on it rather than just one person. Not saying that one person can't do it, definitely possible, but I would
Mm.
definitely work with people because, you know, forming a project that could, change the game indefinitely would be amazing for the years to come for, you know, even small projects. I think it's great to work with people no
Yeah.
matter what.
Speaking of that, and we talk about monetization, right? So obviously, there's going to be a lot of creators that want to take it. Now, again, this is speculation. I'm guessing that once Midnight Society launches UGC, that they'll like I've heard talks like they're thinking about ways that they could possibly do monetization. So an idea I had is like, okay, if you create a system that says, okay, when you submit a mod, it's being submitted for approval. Number one, we got to screen everything, and then number two, is there one or more creators tied to this project? And if there's more than one, have a creative way that says, okay, project is submitted by this team of 4 people, and they'll each get an even percentage of monetized, monies that would come in off of that mod, right? Like, I think that's because that would be the fair way to do it, right? Um, it could get in the weeds about maybe they have a team that's set up on an LLC and they have contracts in place, or, but that's way more in the weeds. I'm sure they'd probably look at that on a case by case basis, but generally speaking, I think there should be some kind of base level something in a monetized program for these mods that says, okay, if it's one person, that's easy. If it's multiple people, let's like automatically divvy up the percentages because it was a collective effort, right? And I think at a base level that's pretty fair. And then if that team wants to, you know, maybe the only thing person A contributed was a funny voice line, and maybe they want to figure out how to divvy that up percentage wise in a fair way. I'm just like, this is all speculation on my part, folks. So don't take everything with a grain of salt. But I really hope that they do. I know for like, I would bet any amount of money they're gonna have an approval system, right? That has to be there, right? Because otherwise you get things that are unfit showing up and making the game not very fun. So I imagine that'll be there, but I do hope that they come out with a monetizing system for creators like yourself. I think it'd be really cool to see, hey man, let's check out this week's new map in the rotator from this new sector from Jinx and his team, or like, I'm really looking forward to that because it just, like I was talking about earlier with Halo, it just really makes it strengthens the community. It gives the game a lot more longevity, things like that. So let's kind of talk about this last thing here. So, I always like to ask, predictions for Snapshot 7, the car mechanic, what's that going to be? Give me some of your thoughts on that.
Okay, so Snapshot 7, man, I wish I could go. Wish I could go.
I know, man. I wish you could be there too.
Yeah, it's I am, but I'll definitely be ready to play it for
Oh,
sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Before I forget, so this video is being recorded on Friday, the 25th of August, and as of right now, Midnight Society today has put out a post that you can go to midnightsociety.com and sign up to win a raffle with a free trip to Vegas. Now, this is also assuming that you have access to play the game. That is required. So whether you're a founder or a tower key holder, if you can play Deadrop, if you have access to play Deadrop, you can drop in and participate. You must be 18 years or older. I'll link the information in the description below. So be sure to check that out because you could get a chance to win a free trip. So I did want to mention that. But yeah, please continue.
Okay, so snapshot 7. Yeah. Um, the first thing that I'm thinking of with the car is like how's it gonna work? You know, how's it
Yeah.
gonna play into the big sectors that we have with the, you know, and especially if it is a vertical extraction shooter, you don't see a car going up
Mhm.
ramps. Maybe maybe it's driving and flying. Yeah, like you
Yeah,
just see it crashing into a building or
that'd be cool.
things like that. Like we don't know that. But is the car, are we going to start from our hangout and go to the sector? Maybe that could be
Yeah,
the case. But at the moment, and if you're squatted up, do you drive in the same car with your friends or do you all take
yeah.
your own car?
Come
I
on,
don't
who's
know.
got shotgun? Let's go.
Exactly.
Let's go
Yeah.
run over some fools on the way to the tower.
Exactly. And like with, a big inspiration for me that I would take on it would be Death Race. Death Race was an
Yeah,
amazing film, and when I hear the car and I hear Dead Drop, I'm just thinking Death Race all the way for
yeah.
some reason. But I would love to see that kind of mechanic like Twisted Metal be implemented into this.
Yeah. And I've talked about this too with a few other guests and but I'm curious, man, because like if we did get a mode like that, like a Twisted Metal Death Race like lead up to a match, it's like, yo, can I like take other people out on the way, and then if I do, does that mean they don't even get to go to the match? Like that wouldn't be very fair.
Right. Yeah.
Like
No.
so it's like how does that work? Maybe it ends up being like a mini game where like yeah, you can destroy people and destroy cars, but like eventually the match will start, and maybe like in that short amount of time, um, if you complete different things, you get certain loot or something. I mean, I'm not, excuse me, I'm not sure how like I don't know how it would work. This is one of the most intriguing things in gaming I've seen because like there's no leaks, there's no details, and all the ideas that we put up for speculation, like I see holes in the ideas, and I'm just like, it's just making me so curious. Like, how the heck is this thing gonna work? Like, what direction are they going with it? And something tells me that whatever it is like something nobody's even thought of yet.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Or it could be like a pre COD warm up. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's just like one of those little warm ups before the match actually starts.
The only thing I think about like that is like, okay, if it is something like that where like if we're talking about COD, like those lobbies, you're not in the lobby very long. I mean, less than 30 seconds on
Right,
average. So it's like, how much are you really, if that was the case, like how much are you really going to get done in your car before during that 30 seconds? You know what I mean? So I'm almost imagining it must be something a little bit different. But again, I don't like nobody knows. Nobody knows like our. I mean, the car honestly, if we're setting the bar really low, the car really could just be something that's in the hideout that we can maybe there's like a cutscene of us driving to the tower and load into the match, and then the car is just a customizable thing like that, like we get the paint cans, or maybe we get some rims or whatever, right?
right, right.
I guess that would be like the lowest bar, but I'm with you. I hope it's more interactive. I hope it's more like, yeah, dude, I just got this upgrade for my car. It has a machine gun on it now, and now I can like on the way to the tower smoke some dudes. You know what I mean? Like,
And maybe for at the end when you win your dead drop, maybe this cutscene plays and it shows you like you drift in your car and then you step out of the car with your loadout that you just
ooh,
got from
little,
that match. You know what I mean?
ooh,
Yeah,
man, yeah, like the like a what do you call that? Like you're showing off. You know what I mean? Like you
exactly.
like, you hop out of the car and pull out your gun. You're all badass.
Exactly. Anybody spectating just saw you with that dead drop in that whole,
And all your
finale right there.
cosmetics like showing up. That's funny.
Exactly.
A lot of games have done stuff like that. So yeah, I would love to see something like that. I think that'd be really cool because yeah, you know, there's gonna be a ton of cosmetics in Dead Drop, of course. Dead Drop. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Dead Drop's aiming to be a free to play game. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I'm
Yes.
almost
They
certain
did say
that's going to
that.
be the case. And of course with that, there's going to be like a cosmetics storefront of some kind. But I
Right.
assume there's also most likely going to be some cosmetics that you can actually find in the world and extract with and stuff like that, or and hopefully an achievement system of some kind, like say with COD where you have your weapon platform and you level it up and that's how you unlock the camos. I would like something similar like that also. So I think there should be a lot of multiple paths to earning cosmetics along with the store, right? So I kind of hope they go there. I think they will. Again, it's an extraction game. There's tons of loot, and so we'll see. Yeah. So any other big predictions for Snapshot 7? Like any, besides the car, we know the car's coming in some form. What else do you think we could see?
For Snapshot 7, I feel like for cold storage, because it is our main map that we see. So I'm feeling like we either get, I wouldn't say the finalized version of cold storage, but I would say we're going to see more improvements of cold storage, and then the proving grounds. And I'm not going to say that we're getting a new map, because that, to me, that sounds like a lot, I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
But I say that we might get some new gadgets maybe, or some performance enhancements to the game, or even just some overall just big changes as to the maps, I would say.
Okay.
That's
What
what I'm thinking.
you think we'll get any new weapons?
Weapons, I
I
don't
mean,
know. I
we
think,
haven't had a new weapon really. We've had weapon reworks, but I don't think we've had a new weapon yet.
okay, so if I would say a new weapon, I'm thinking something else that might be along the lines of a marksman rifle. I would say
Okay.
something like that.
So I mean, yeah, because like for Snapshot 6, they reworked a lot of the weapons. Like the the heavy pistol is to me a kind of a different gun now. I mean, it's still a heavy pistol, but the way it works, animates, the stats on it. The shotguns got reworked a lot. There was a lot of balance changes for other weapons. But generally speaking, we really, it's so one of my big hopes that I hope is going to show up in Snapshot 7 is melee weapons, or at least the beginning of that, right? Like, or maybe the ability to melee, like whether I punch you or like have a knife, maybe I get a cool knife or something, or like the variants have like the baseball bats or the katanas.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
perfect.
I would love. I mean, everybody's been asking about melee weapons, and we've been asking about it for a long time. So, you know, I'm not gonna leave anything off the table with Snapshot 7 because look at what they're doing to launch it. They're gonna have a
Yes, they're
big live
yeah.
event in Vegas at the same time as TwitchCon, which shout out to them. That's awesome. But yeah, so melee weapons would be great. I wonder if we'll get any new gadgets. They've talked about the wingsuit a lot. I don't think that's coming in 7 though. I think Rob even said that. Um, so what to finish off here? What if you could have any one thing? What's something you would really like to see for 7?
Something I would really like to see for Snapshot 7. I would say, yeah, I'm a big performance guy. I love to be able to play the game. I would love some stability, some a little more stability at least, and
Mm-hmm.
then for anything new towards the game, I would like to see, if not a new weapon, a new gadget for sure.
Okay. And what would those weapons or gadgets be if you could have them?
So I know everybody likes the DMR, or they did like the
Yeah,
DMR,
not
I
so much
should say.
now.
Yeah, no. But I would like another marksman rifle of some
Mhm.
sort that could compete, with that. So it's not just, oh, there's the DMR. I don't want to touch it because, it's been nerfed to the ground. So
Right.
some something like that. And then if we're not getting anything like the wingsuit, maybe we can get something along, climbing, traversing, any platform, climbing on the walls, or something like that, that would
Okay.
help you, or
So like
some
like
boots that give you, jumping a height, even more to traverse vertically to progress faster.
okay. Would you rather have a trampoline of sorts like Octane and Apex, or would you rather have like a grappling hook like Pathfinder?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning on the Pathfinder probably.
Yeah, something like a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Um, would you want it to work linearly, like I shoot it at a spot and I go to that spot, or would you want it to have swinging physics also to like, so like if it has swinging physics, then you could time your running and jump and kind of better control it. Or because some people I've talked to, they like the idea of like, no, I shoot it here, that's where I want to go, whereas other players, they like that mobility, and the utility that comes with the swinging physics. Like which way would you want it to work?
Although they're both great, they both sound great. But if we're going for something that's vertical, and we have a lot of open area at the moment, so if we were to
Mhm.
receive something like that, I would say I would want the physics there because based off of my sensitivity in the game, I could turn around and jump to a different direction without that guy knowing, hey, he's only going to be locked into this one spot once he uses that grappling hook.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would like that. That sounds like an easy way to die, in my opinion.
Yeah. The only thing I'm down with whatever gadgets they throw in there. I want the tuning to be good in terms of like limited use case, like depending on the gadget. Like the grappling hook, I could see that having like 2 or 3 uses before it's broken or can't use it anymore. The zipline thruster is a good example of something that if you find it, you just have it. You know what I mean? And it just
Yes.
works, right? That makes sense. Grappling hook could be spammed if you make it unlimited, it could be spammed, you know what I mean? So there needs to either be like a really punishing cooldown so you can't spam it, or like you can only use it so many times, kind of a thing. And then same thing for the wingsuit. Like I don't want people flying around the map constantly. I think that either needs to be a one-time use type of consumable or something like that. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
my hope would be give me all the gadgets, just like make sure they're balanced good, so they're not like constantly spammed in an annoying way. You know?
I agree.
So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I think my biggest ask right now would probably be like melee weapons. Like I want a sword, I want to chop some dudes up, you know what I mean? Like
Oh
I
yeah.
want to get in there and get up close, Sneak up on somebody from like death from above. Yeah.
Yeah, or yeah, I
That'd be so
wondered,
cool.
is it gonna be a rated R title? Like, are we gonna get that
Well, it'd
gore and
probably be
stuff like
rated M.
that?
I mean, it's a shooter, so, you know,
Or
I'm
sorry,
assuming
sorry,
I'm
I said
assuming
rated
so.
R, and I was thinking
Yeah.
completely. I was thinking something else. Sorry.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
but
how
I'm
much
hoping.
like VFX on that? I mean, I guess
Yeah,
that's kind of like up for debate, but yeah, like I mean, it don't bother me any, but I mean, I'm not gonna assume that they're targeting a young audience with this game. I'm just gonna assume that, right? But look, guys, I don't know. We're not privy to that, and whatever it ends up being, it ends up being. So,
right.
I wouldn't mind some really cool, Mortal Kombat VFX on a
Yeah,
katana. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's where that comes from.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's about it for today. I appreciate you coming by, Jinx, man. Where can people find your content?
You guys can find me on Kick. You can find me on YouTube, which is my main platform,
Mhm.
and I do Twitter every now and then. But other than that, you can follow me at all three of those locations.
Awesome, man. Like I said, we really appreciate you hanging out today. And that's going to do it for us today. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and then hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future episodes of Variant Intel. We appreciate you for being here. We'll see you in the tower. Have a good one, everybody.